It's like those horror movies, you know. He's like, it's starting. It's starting. This is what happens against the New York Mets as the Phillies lose 2-0. We welcome you to Phillies Post-Game Live, presented by our friends at Cure Auto Insurance. Ruben Amaro Jr., I'm Michael Barkamp, Ben Davis. In a moment, the Phillies losing 2-0. They are now 25-29 on the season. They are now 10-15 in May, and they are now going back to last season 5-15 in their last 20 games against the New York Mets, and frankly ruin a solid pitching performance from Ranger Suarez, and they needed it from Suarez tonight. What a struggle. Ruben, your overview of this game that showed the Phillies get what? One hit.
Yeah, it was just disappointing.
2 hits.
I mean, it was disappointing, Michael. I mean, they just did not have the right approach against a guy who throws a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. They chased a ton of those splits. What's the best way to hit a split? Is by hitting the fastball before you get the split, or the ghost pitch, whatever you want to call it. They just did not have a great approach. That was one of my concerns tonight, and they've been striking out at an alarming rate. They just have to make better contact. Just a lot of things sort of to unpack. The most disappointing thing for me is that Ranger Suarez threw the ball extremely well, and they basically wasted that performance. And when you pitch that well against a team like that in your division, you want to be able to capitalize on it. Unfortunately, they did not, and the Mets sort of have their number, and they've had it for 2 years now.
2 years now, and there's another number here which I want to bounce off Ben. I want to get your thoughts on it too in a bit. That number is 36 as we welcome Ben Davis from the booth. Ben, 36, as you well know, that's the number of strikeouts, 36 and counting, these last 3 games for Phillies hitters. If we're just sitting around the bar and I'm asking you, Ben Davis, how can that even happen? 36 strikeouts in 3 games. What's the answer? What would you give me?
Does that mean I'm buying your scotch, Michael?
You're definitely buying my scotch. Depends on the answer. I might buy yours.
Yeah, they got to put more balls in play. And the thing that I didn't like tonight was the split, the fork ball, the ghost fork, whatever you want to call it. It's a swing and miss pitch, okay? So he's throwing that pitch to get swings and misses. He's using it with 2 strikes majority of the time. But the Phillies missed so many fastballs tonight. That was my issue. If you're looking fastball, you're in a hitter's count, you get a fastball, you cannot be late on it. And I saw that happen too many times tonight for Phillies hitters. If he does throw you a split, if you're in a hitter's count and he does throw you a split, you swing through it, you still have a couple strikes left, in your quiver. So that's the thing that I didn't like tonight. They saw some good pitching in Atlanta. Morton was very good. He had 22 swings and misses. Strider obviously is extremely good. He had a ton of swings and misses on Sunday Night Baseball. And obviously tonight, Senga had 22 swings and misses. So I just would like to see a more simple approach. The one thing I did like in the second game in Atlanta was the fact that they got 2 strikes. They were using the whole field. That's not the case. That wasn't the case tonight. It was almost like they're going to get that run back or 2 runs back with 1 swing of the bat. They needed base runners first and foremost. They only had a couple of those.
I see some things that I don't really like, and they typically have not played very good baseball against this team.
No, they lost all 6 series to the Mets last year, Ruben, and that's something, maybe it's in their head a little bit, but you're right. Plays like that with JT tonight, that run, you have the tying run at home plate, and you kind of ran yourself out of an inning right there. I'm anxious to see his rationale, his thinking behind trying to take second base right there. I know Ottavino can be slow to home plate, but there's really no reason to go. The worst case scenario, you get thrown out, then you run yourself out of the inning. That's exactly what happened. Maybe trying to make too many things happen. I could see him possibly running there with 2 strikes to get himself in the scoring position, but he gets thrown out right there, and it's a 1-2-3 inning.
All right, Ben, why no Bryce Harper in the top of the 9th? Especially when you look at what Josh Harrison had done against David Robertson, which was 0 for 2. I know he finally got that first hit. That's all well and good. But you got an opportunity for so much more, it would seem, for Harper, who was having his second off night. Obviously no game yesterday.
Right. I mean, obviously, if, it didn't look like he had any chance of going in. I mean, he was sitting there in the 9th inning with his hoodie on still. It looked like Rob Thompson just wanted him to give a complete 2 days off. He'll be back in there tomorrow against Carrasco. You know what? We'll have to see what Rob Thompson says, but it looked like they were content and just, having Bryce put his feet up and be that as it may. I mean, I thought there's a shot you could see him there, especially once Harrison gets on. Obviously, Harper's a little bit bigger threat than Stott to hit a home run and tie this ball game up. It just wasn't meant to be tonight. They just want him to get a full day off.
Do either of you guys sense that the team is as tortured as we are about the lack of success that they're displaying this season? Because it is really a struggle. I know they very well could make the playoffs, but I don't know if we want to see this go down the same way as last year. They are the reigning NL champs after all. And you used the word contentment, Ben, and I think that's very apt because they do seem content to be a below 500 team. I know they're not, and I know they're stomp their feet. We can't stay. We're trying, but they're not playing like it, Benny.
No, they're not, and it's, they're not happy with where they're at right now. But I think their professionalism is going to get them to where they need to be eventually throughout the course of the season. But right now they're not playing. They're not playing good defense. It seems like there's something that happens every night that prevents them from winning, and whether that be pitching or defense or offense or not runners in scoring position, there seems to be something there, and it seems like they're just stressing or putting too much pressure on themselves to make everything happen at once. I think right now they take more of a baby step approach, and again, you get 2 strikes on you, I'll take a single to left field or the opposite field. There's nothing wrong with that, but they're just trying to make too many things happen all at once.
And when you go against a guy by the name of Kodai Senga, by the way, you know what his favorite game is, Ruben? What's his favorite game? Kodai Senga.
I'm not going to say it.
It's Jenga. He loves Jenga, Senga. But anyway, when you look at a guy like Senga, and they have not seen him before, and you know what else? When he signed with the Mets, he said, I can't wait to face the Phillies lineup. You would think that would stick in their craw. But be that as it may, when you're facing a guy you've never faced before, and he tunes you up 9 strikeouts worth, that's a struggle, I would think, if you don't have a book on him.
Yeah, it is a struggle. You can watch as much film as you want, but unless you see arm slot and pitching coming out of a pitcher's hand, you really don't know what to say or to look for. So I thought we were seeing a little bit different approach, especially second time through. We didn't see that tonight out of the Phillies hitters, and that's something, again, they need to get better at. But they have the book on them now. Maybe the next time they see him, it's a different story. But you're talking about a guy that's last started 5 walks, and he's got 31 walks on the year in just 48 innings coming into tonight's ball game. Didn't have any tonight.
31 walks. I got to run this by Ruben, Ben. 31 walks in 48 innings. Unbelievable. Because Ruben and I were talking about this before the pregame show, and we're going to talk about it now. Thanks, Baseball Ben Davis,
Benny.
With the ball at the ready
guys.
Always, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow, or I'll see you for the Scotch. One of the two. I don't know which. I can get up in New York. That's Ben.
I'd like to join you with the Scotch.
There you go. We're all going to need it.
For a lot of this season, there you see the numbers. 7 innings pitched, 1 hit. They did not have a base runner at second base, which is, to me, it's insane that they couldn't get anybody to second base.
First time in nearly 7 years, July 17th, 2016. That's the last time they failed to get a runner to second base. 2 hits for the Phillies tonight.